All right, y'all, welcome to Herb Talk. Now, this part right here is for the YouTube users. Before everybody starts joining in for the school account, but if you are watching this on YouTube, go to the link in the description of this video, join the school account, right? Download the school community app on your phone, and you can actually participate in these herb talks, right? So we do them every week, all normally on Saturday mornings. I've only had to switch it up maybe once because I was doing something with the church. It's foreseeable in the future that I may have to switch it up and do it on a Friday night or something like that. But usually Saturday mornings, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, giving enough time for people to wake up, get their cups of motivation in their hand, and sit down and have a talk. Now you can always just put it in the background and just listen if you're doing something. There's all sorts of ways you can participate. But when you join the live herb talk, you get entered into a giveaway. So everyone who joins into the live herb talk, they get entered into a giveaway. This week, we are giving away this amazing salt mix. All right, this is a mix of 5 different salts. If you go to our website, we actually sell this on there for $25. It is a mix of 5 exotic salts. Now, why? Why do that? Why mix 5 exotic salts together? Because they come from different areas of the world, they have different mineral contents, and it tastes so much better. You have the really good, straight, clean salt, but then you have the subtlety notes and the smoky notes and the grounded notes and the earthy minerals and stuff. It creates a gourmet salt that a fancy chef would be excited to use, right? I also take and put a pinch of this in every bit of water that I get, so that I can have that electrolyte balance going on with all the minerals. You have to understand that water, H2O, is not just water, or water isn't just H2O. That's the skeletal structure of it. It always comes in nature with minerals combined with it, right? It provides structure, it provides information, it provides electrical conductivity, right? So this is extremely important. We are electrical and chemical beings, but there is an underlying information that has to be passed through your entire body down to your DNA that we don't see, right? That's the kind of information that God provides that makes everything work, right? So this provides the ability for that conductivity of information, right? So this is really, really awesome stuff. Love it. I use it in everything. It's great. So we are giving that away, $25 worth. Every month we give something away, right? So you get entered into the drawing, and you get entered multiple times if you join multiple weeks, right? So right now we've got in our raffle, I do it on my phone, by the way, I click everybody in. So on the Herb Talk, we've got 11 entries right now, so for this month. So you join in, get in. Hopefully here soon we have hundreds of entries, and we'll hit that raffle button at the end of the month and see who wins. We'll ship it out to you, and you'll get to enjoy whatever for free and get to learn for free. So this is pretty sweet. So if you're on YouTube, jump on over, get in there, and have some fun, man. We're doing some awesome things here. We are in the autoimmune series number 8, and what week for Herb Talk? Man, I don't know. I knew I would lose count here. Herb Talk number 17, maybe? Herb Talk number 17. Let's see, I can find it real quick. I am sure of that. If I go to, not classroom, I need to catch up on some Herb Talk stuff. Let's see. Herb Talk number 18. That's right. 8. So we're on autoimmune series number 8, herb talk number 18. If you want to see all the herb talks, we've got them posted in YouTube if you're on there, but we also have them in the school account, and we have them organized from start to finish in the school account. So you can go to the school account and the post there, and you can start to finish. There's now 17 to 18 hours of information there for free, right? So pretty exciting about that. Let's see. Yeah, so more than 17 hours of content already in. Let me get old Lane in here for the entry. And then once we get a few more people in here, we'll start to get started. How's it going, Lane?
Oh, good. Good morning. I'm on time today.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. I was just doing an intro for the YouTube people. Telling them to get on school.
They need to.
Yeah.
Feed information.
Yeah, we got my TikTok is growing organically pretty well, and then but TikTok is very, very biased about information. They do not like some of the things that I say, so they've taken down probably 10 of my videos so far. I've rebutted like probably 6 or 7 videos, and they've put them up. They've put them back up, but one of them they didn't, and then they gave me a warning. So I have to be like cautious about what I say for TikTok, apparently. Facebook hadn't done that, I don't think. So it's pretty wild though. They're trying to cancel me already. But TikTok. TikTok is trying to cancel me.
Are you on TikTok? I don't like TikTok.
Yeah, I don't like it, but it's a really good way to reach people. So it's
All the idiots on it.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see how TikTok works though. It's people love it. I don't know. But yeah, they took down like 10 of my videos, and they took down more than that, but I've rebutted like 7 of them, and they put them back up. But then there was one that I had submitted an appeal to, and they didn't like that apparently, and they gave me a warning that they would shut my account down if I did any more stuff like that or something. I don't know. It was one where I was mentioning cancer, and they really like their cancer, so you have to be really careful on how you mention that, I guess.
It's China owned.
Yeah, I know.
And I've heard that it's a trafficking site. They traffic children through it.
Yeah, you can use just about every platform to do that nowadays. All right. So, we talked a little bit about what we were going to jump into today. Last week when we started talking about methylation and stuff. And, oh, by the way, I put a website up over the last week, which is pretty cool. GreatHealthByGod.com. I was surprised that it was available, but it was. And so GreatHealthByGod.com, you can check it out. It's got some of the products that I've been developing on there and putting together. So like everything we've been given away. We gave away, I don't know if we gave away Gut Protocol, I think, and then Parasite Cleanse, and then this salt mix that I created. And then I have one that's a Graves tea. It's for Graves disease. That's really cool. So I'm gonna develop some other teas. Already got them kind of formulated. I just haven't actually put them together in real life to see how they go. And but I do have the formulas somewhat developed for like Hashimoto's, for rheumatoid arthritis, for just different autoimmune conditions is what I'm going to start with, and then I'll do some. And then I've got capsules that I've formulated for those as well. You want to, like, the capsules won't have the same stuff as the Graves tea. It might have some of the same stuff, right? Because they synergistically work together with some of the different powders, or some of the different herbs and stuff in the powdered form. So, Graves tea might have gynostemma in it, but it won't have any of the mushrooms in it, right? It's going to be one that's easy to prepare and stuff like that. But the capsules will have all the mushrooms in it, but will also have gynostemma in it because they work synergistically together as well. And doubling up on gynostemma, it can only make everything that much better. So, so you'll have, so the products are going to be developed, something you can do to drink, something you can do to take, and this is specifically for autoimmune disease. There's other conditions out there where I'll probably do a very similar setup, but some might be a little bit different. But right now I'm trying to put the products out there where people can actually get it easily. It creates a shipping label, all that great stuff. I've done it in the past. It works pretty well, and so we won't have any problems getting products to people and stuff. Because I keep coming across the same thing every time I'm looking for a product to tell people about, and it ends up I have to tell them about like 14 different products because they're just not all together in one, or just a couple of products in a good strategy for specific diseases, right? So it's just it makes it really difficult when you're trying to. And I see this all the time with all these professional herbalists and naturopathic doctors and everything like that. You go to them, first of all, you pay a lot of money to go to them because, and nowadays different states will cover, insurances will cover naturopathic doctors, which is really cool. It's on a comeback, which is really awesome. But you'll go to them and you'll pay to go to them, and then you'll have to pay a god-awful amount to get the different herbs and stuff, $200-$300, $400 a month sometimes, because you have so many different things you have to do. I'm like, why can't we just combine and strategically do this a little bit differently? The way that I've set it up is there's strategy to it. So every month is different, and you will either add something and take something away, or you replace it, or you just add something, right? So it's not all up front, it's not all at once. There's a strategy to these things. And then you have just the herbs that you want to take for the rest of your life to have optimal health, right? Food is medicine, medicine is food, and if we treat it as such, if we take things in the proper amounts and the proper stuff, you will, oh, there we go. All right, we've got some more people on here. There we go. All right, I think I got everybody in the drawing. Sweet. Sorry. But if you take everything in the proper amounts, and you have maintenance herbs, right? You have things that you just take every day for the rest of your life, and you eat healthy, you will have the best quality of life, and you will find that over time, the things that used to bother you, the things that used to be diseases in your life will fall away, right? God created your body to heal naturally. That is its natural state, is a state of healing. When you cut yourself, what happens? It scabs up, right? God didn't create your body deficient and lacking of anything, or all this crazy stuff that doctors will tell you. He created it whole. He created it meant to heal, right? And so if something ails you, something is wrong, and you've probably done it to yourself or exposed yourself, or something has been exposed to you that has caused this issue, right? So with that being said, so I'm trying to make it easier, right? I'm trying to make it easier for people to be able to, for specific conditions, get what they need much cheaper, within $100, $100 extra a month, rather than $200, $300, $400 extra a month. Be able to get what they need easily. They don't have to combine it themselves. They don't have to do this crazy regimen throughout the day. They can take it all at once, or take it when they can, sort of deal, and not have to go through this just crazy maze of trying to figure all this out, right? I know it's difficult. It took me years, and probably now about $200,000. Well, it's probably more than that, because I actually started a business around it, dietary supplement manufacturing and stuff like that, back in like 2014, and so, or 2015, sometime back then, and so I've spent tons of money trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, what to combine, how to combine it, all that stuff. So I'm trying to make it easier for people. So I have built that website, greathealthbygod.com, and you can go there and you can actually see the products. I've only got 4 products up right now. I'm working on getting all those up, but they will be for specific conditions, right? So you'll see right now I've got the Graves tea up, and then I'll have a Graves capsule, right? And so those are the 2 major supplements you'll take, or major things you'll do for Graves disease. I'll do a Hashimoto's one, I'll do a rheumatoid arthritis one, I'll do a lupus one, right? A lot of the herbs will be similar with specific nuances for that disease, right? We've gone over that a little bit before. Before I blabber too much, let's go ahead and dive in here. We talked a little bit last week about methylation, so we're going to dive into that today, and I told you about MTHFR gene and how you can actually test for that, right? So the MTHFR gene plays a central role in methylation, right? Which is one of the body's most important biochemical processes. Methylation occurs in every cell involved in detoxification, gene regulation, neurotransmitter production, and immune function. Methylation refers to the transfer of methyl groups, which is it's a simple chemical unit made of 1 carbon and 3 hydrogen atoms, right? So this process is required to activate or deactivate genes. So, or it also helps to repair DNA, process toxins, regulate inflammation. So it is essential for converting homocysteine to methionine, right? So which is used to produce things like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, which are like the master antioxidants of the body, right? Super important. The MTHFR gene provides instructions for making an enzyme called methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, right? So this enzyme is it's responsible for converting folate from the diet, so from things that you consume, into its active form known as 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, right? So, or 5-MTHF. This active form is required for proper methylation to occur. There are two common variants of the MTHFR gene, right? So I'm totally nerding out right now, but it'll start to make sense as we go. C677T and A1298C. These variants can reduce the efficiency of MTHFR enzyme. So the C677T variant has a more significant impact. So individuals who carry one copy may have moderately reduced enzyme activity, right? So while those who carry two copies can have substantial reduction in function. So this can lead to decreased production of active folate and impaired methylation. The A1298C variant tends to have a milder effect and can still contribute to reduced methylation capacity. So especially when combined with the other variant, right? So when methylation is impaired, several downstream effects occur. So this is where it's important. One of the most important is the accumulation of homocysteine. So normally homocysteine is recycled into methionine through methylation. When this process is inefficient, homocysteine levels can rise. And elevated homocysteine is associated with increased inflammation, oxidative stress, and damage to blood vessels, right? So this is really important for anybody with cardiovascular issues like damaged blood vessels. Poor methylation also affects detoxification. This is super important, right? Detoxification, so the inability to detoxify is one of the root causes of all major diseases, right? It's obviously, if you weren't putting the toxins in, that's a major cause, right? But the fact that you can't get them out either is heavily involved in this. So the body relies on methylation process to eliminate toxins, including heavy metals, environmental chemicals, and metabolic waste, right? So when this process is compromised, toxins can accumulate and contribute to immune activation and inflammation, and on an array of diseases. It's pretty much, that's it right there, right? So neurological effects are also common. Methylation is required for the production and regulation of neurotransmitters, right? So such as serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, right? So impaired methylation can contribute to mood disturbances, brain fog, and cognitive dysfunction. So in context of autoimmunity though, these factors combine to create an environment of increased inflammation, reduced detoxification capacity, and impaired immune regulation. So you can take it, you can make it more difficult for the body to maintain tolerance and properly control immune responses. When you stack all those downstream effects up, you can see how it can quickly go south, right? We've got somebody else in here. Who else is in here? Oh, Sarah. I'll get you in on the drawing. So you can see how it can quickly go south with when you don't have proper methylation going on in your body. There we go. So we've got 17 entries into the drawing this time. Woo woo. So I talked a little bit about this last week too. Testing for the MTHFR variants is typically done through genetic testing, right? So this is something that you can do. I prefer, like, I would love to do this test, but I am skeptical about where the information of my genetics goes after that. So there are some reputable companies that I might be okay with doing it with, and I can get you those sources if you want to do something like this. It is a little bit expensive up front, but it's a one-time test that will let you know where you are genetically in your ability to methylate, right? Or you could just take the right things and you don't have to worry about it, right? But then that's pretty easy too, right? So, but it's kind of cool to know, right? It's kind of cool to know. It's an easy test. They do a swab of you do a swab of your cheek, send it into the lab, and they're able to get all the information that they need off of that test. Problem is, it's like $400 or $500 just to do the one test, but it's a lifetime test, right? So that's one time in your whole life, and you will know exactly where you sit on your ability to methylate. So it's pretty cool, and it helps you identify, areas of vulnerability with those methylation pathways. So it's important to note, though, that having the MTHFR variant does not guarantee dysfunction, right? So like I said, you could just take the right things and do the right things, and you should be perfectly fine, right? But a lot of us haven't been doing that for a long time, so it'd behoove us to figure out this if where we're at in this process, right? But there are things that you can take, right? So nutritional support is a part of addressing impaired methylation. You can skip all that and just go to a methylated vitamin. They're easy to get. They're very good quality in most cases. I haven't found one that's like super out like crazy with weird ingredients or anything like that. They're pretty straightforward. A lot of them come from natural processes. So, we have one here that I take. If you want that, I can definitely send you that. I could probably I've got a wholesale account with them, so I could probably sell it a little bit cheaper. So I might just put that on the website. But it's a methylated vitamin and it covers all your methylation needs, right? So it's a really good one to have just in case, especially for a little while until you get your diet right, until you get your gut right. When you get all those things right, methylation becomes easier, detoxification becomes easier, all those things become easier, right? But methylfolate is one of those, is that active form of folate and bypasses the need for the MTHFR conversion, right? So supplementing with methylfolate is really awesome. It provides the body with direct usable folate to support methylation. Methylcobalamin is also one that is really awesome. It is the form of B12 that you need, right? Normally, so cyanocobalamin is what you see in a lot of drinks, a lot of things out there. That's the one you want to avoid, right? You want to avoid cyanocobalamin because, first of all, their source for cyanocobalamin B12 is a horrible source. They pull it up from toxic sludge that comes from byproducts of sewage plants and then chemically alter it. So you really don't want to use that stuff. But it's in like all the energy drinks out there and stuff. There are a couple of energy drinks, if you're an energy drink drinker, that use methylcobalamin. Read the back. If you see cyanocobalamin next to the B12, don't drink it. It will leave toxic residue in your body as well. So, and one of those are poisonous cyanide-like chemicals after it methylates. So, now that cyanocobalamin is naturally occurring in a lot of plants, nuts, seeds, those sort of things, but it's in minute amounts. And when you have energy drinks that have just so much of it, and then you take an energy drink that has this, and then another processed food that has it in it, or another drink that has it in, or another something, and you have that like 14 times in a day or however many times. That's just a number that I like to throw out. But you can see how that compounding effect, it can cause a lot of issues. What lab process is it? What lab process is what, Sarah? Sorry, I did. What's that?
Sorry. I said you said that you could get a lab test for it. What
Yes.
lab does it?
So there's a couple of them out there. Life Extensions is one that I really like, that will test for the MTHFR. And theirs is like 300 or something like that, 300 to 400. And then there's another one by Gary, I forget his last name right now, but he's a really good guy. He's one of the big MTHFR gene proponents. He's like one that's done the most research on it that I've seen, but his is more like 500. So I can't remember his last name though. So what are the good methylated vitamins? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the two methylated vitamins right now. Methylfolate and methylcobalamin are the main two that you want to get. The ones that I'm taking or that we have here, I can get that and post it, and I can also, yes, it is safe for the littles. So we have Leah on it right now. So it's safe for the littles, but yeah, it's safe for the littles because it's naturally occurring in your body all the time, right? So yeah, we'll get back to that. Let me get through this first, and then I shouldn't have looked at the questions till later. Let me get through this before we start getting into questions. So methylcobalamin is B12, right? So it works alongside methylfolate in the methylation cycle, right? So it is required for conversion of homocysteine into methionine, which supports proper neurological and immune function. So together, these nutrients help restore methylation capacity. They reduce homocysteine levels and support detoxification and improve overall cellular function, right? So supporting this pathway can play a significant role in reducing the burden on the immune system and improving regulation in individuals with autoimmune conditions, not just autoimmune conditions, but that's what we're talking about right now. But it is a wide array of things that can be affected by this, right? So herbs of the week, all right? Herbs of the week. So nettle leaf is really awesome. So we had a couple supplements of the week, I guess. But nettle leaf is awesome, right? It's known as like the seaweed of the land, right? So yeah, MD Logic, there you go. Jennifer is looking at it. But so nettle leaf is phenomenal. It's known as like the seaweed of the land, right? Because it has so many minerals in it. It's super mineral dense. I used to walk around eating stinging nettles all the time. That's what it is, stinging nettles. You can't eat them. You know, you walk, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, but yes, it is that plant where you walk by and it feels like you got eaten up by poison ivy for a few minutes and then it goes away, right? It's very irritating. It sucks, but you can eat it. If you go up on the underside of the leaf and fold it up, right? Put it in your mouth and chew. It actually, it tastes great actually, and it doesn't sting your mouth. Just your skin on the outside. Pretty cool. And it's really, really good for you, right? So that was actually a part of my wild foraging diet, was stinging nettles, because it's everywhere in Germany. And it's here as well. I don't see it as often here, but you could plant it and it'd be really good for you to have on your land or property or wherever. but it is considered a weed, right? So it grows pretty prolific on the edges of forest and on the edges of things. So be careful with that. If you're planting it in a neighborhood, you have to control it. So it's naturally rich in folate, right? So which is the natural form of, it's what you get naturally to convert into the methylfolate. But alongside with minerals such as magnesium, iron, calcium, all of the important cofactors as well, right? So in all the enzymatic processes, and then which help, you know, throughout the whole body, right? So folate is a key component of methylation cycle. It is required for the production of 5-MTHF. So the active form that's the active form to use to transfer methyl groups, right? So even in individuals with reduced MTHFR activity, consistent intake of folate-rich foods and herbs helps support overall methylation capacity, right? So, and especially, so I like to say, especially if you are not retoxifying your body, right? So when you start to convert your lifestyle over into just living healthier, you will need less methylation conversion, right? Your body will be less taxed. You won't have to detox constantly all the time. So it's super awesome. Or it's a really good idea to have folate-rich foods, right? And I'm not talking about the stuff that they enrich into flour. You need to stay far away from that. That is whenever you see enriched with minerals, enriched with on products at the grocery store, run, right? Run, drop it, throw it in the trash can on your way out. It's trash. It will slowly but surely kill you, especially if you're pregnant. Do not take prenatal vitamins. Horrible for you. You need methylated vitamins, and then get a natural form like moringa is a natural, extremely rich mineral dense herb, and nettle, right? Nettle leaf, extremely mineral rich. Stay far away from prenatal vitamins. They will cause so many issues in your baby because synthetic folate is extremely toxic to you and your baby. I'm probably going to get canceled for that one right there, but it is true. So I'll just have to make sure I take that video out or that clip out for one of the shorts so that they don't cancel me for that one. But I'm telling y'all, super important. Send me all the information on being pregnant. All right, I will. I've never been pregnant, but I know what you should take. I had Jennifer on moringa the whole time she was pregnant with Max, and reishi mushroom, the different mushrooms. But then as soon as Max was born, right? So within, I don't know, a month or two of him being born, I was giving him medicinal mushrooms, right? To build a solid immune system. So whenever he got a bottle or something like that, I'd try to give him medicinal mushrooms. And so super important for immune system building. So in addition to its nutrient profile, right, nettle leaf has mild anti-inflammatory properties, right? So it supports kidney function. It helps the body clear metabolic waste, right? So it is commonly used as a tea or infusion, allowing a steady intake of minerals that support both methylation and overall cellular function. Super awesome stuff. It is in the Graves tea, right? Nettle leaf is one of the main components of the Graves tea. It'll be one of the main components of Hashimoto's tea. It'll be one of the main components of every autoimmune disease T, right? Because it is so prolific in minerals that you need for a proper functioning immune system. Beetroot. Beetroot is really awesome. A lot of you have heard about beetroot, probably taken beetroot before. And it's a direct source of betaine, which is also known as trimethylglycine, right? So, or TMG. Betaine plays a specific role in methylation by donating methyl groups. There's a lot of methyl group donators out there. This is one of them. In the conversion of homocysteine into methionine, right? So through a pathway that is dependent, or independent, sorry, not dependent, but independent of MTHFR. That's important, especially if you are not able to properly methylate. So this makes beetroot particularly valuable for individuals with that impaired function, as it provides an alternative route, right? Maintaining methylation. By supporting the recycling of homocysteine, betaine helps reduce elevated homocysteine levels, which are associated with the inflammation of vascular stress. Beetroot also supports liver function and nitric oxide production, which is one that most people know about, right? That's probably why they started taking it in the first place. And so it improves blood flow and oxygen delivery to the tissues. Yeah, took it with Charlie. Yeah. And so it can be consumed whole, juiced, or as a powder, right? Providing both methylation support and cardiovascular benefits. Super awesome one. Dandelion root. Dandelion root is awesome. Dandelion in general is an amazing herb, right? When I was in the Army and we were training for Ranger School, I was eating dandelions outside, right? This was the peak of my herbalism journey. And I was foraging food from the wild, and I was eating dandelions and stuff, and everybody was laughing at me, right? Literally, I had people laughing at me, telling me I was dumb, I was an idiot, I was stupid, I was crazy, all those things, right? And so I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt, you know? So I don't really care what you think. But while they were all, you know, partying, drinking, doing all this other crazy stuff, I was eating dandelion. So, and then we go into our one of our classes for Ranger School, and they were talking about wild foods that you can eat. And the first one they put up there, dandelion. And everybody looked at me like, oh, I was like, told you guys, like what? I'm already ahead of the game, I got this. And so it's pretty wild. But I thought it was really funny. Dandelion, every part of the dandelion can be eaten or used in some way, shape, or form, right? So I used to collect dandelion, used to dry it, used to powder it, throw it in smoothies, whatever. But super good stuff, right? Do not spray the dandelions. You want a yard full of dandelions. You don't want to spray chemicals on your yard at all. Let the weeds grow, use them, and cut them down after you harvest, right? Cut your lawn after you harvest all the great flowers, the leaves, and everything else, and then cut your lawn. Use the weeds. The weeds are not bad. They're not weeds at all. They are herbs for your health, and that is why they have waged war on them and made you think that they're the worst thing ever, is because they are the best thing ever for you, right? Satan is at work in this world, and let me tell you, he will do anything to get to God's people and anything to make you think that everything God produced is the enemy. So, moving on. It supports methylation indirectly through its effects on the liver. It's really great for the liver. The liver is the central organ in detoxification, right? So it plays a major role in processing toxins, hormones, metabolic byproducts, and all of which rely on methylation pathways. So dandelion root stimulates bile production as well and supports the liver's ability to process and eliminate waste. By improving liver function, it reduces the burden on methylation pathways. So it helps to maintain a more efficient detoxification process. It also contains antioxidants and compounds that support digestive function and microbial balance, further contributing to reduced inflammation and gut repair, improved gut repair. So together, these three plants support methylation from different angles, right? Nettle provides essential nutrients needed for methylation cycle. Beetroot supplies direct methyl donors through betaine, and dandelion root supports liver processes that rely on and influence methylation. So this combined approach helps improve methylation efficiency, reduce toxic load, and support overall immune regulation. So the concept of the week, y'all. Folate is a critical nutrient for methylation cycle, right? And obtaining it through whole foods is one of the most effective ways to support this process. Natural folate is found in foods, right? Such as dark leafy greens, legumes, vegetables, and like asparagus, right? Dark leafy greens such as spinach, kale, romaine lettuce, and others are among the richest foods in folate. So in these foods, folate exists in forms that the body can more easily utilize within the methylation cycle, right? So regular intake supports DNA repair, cellular turnover, and proper regulation of gene expression. So not to overload though, right? You have to be careful not to do too much. Some people do that. Just because something's good for you doesn't mean it's good for you in excess amounts. Okay? Moderation with everything. Now, there are some things that are like that, that are just good for you in excess amounts, like reading your Bible. That's great for you in excess amounts. But natural folate, okay, so asparagus is another concentrated source of folate, and also provides antioxidants that help reduce oxidative stress, which can otherwise impair methylation and increase inflammation. Legumes, including lentils, chickpeas, beans, also provide significant amounts of folate, along with fiber and other nutrients that support gut health, right? So a healthy gut environment improves nutrient absorption and contributes to better methylation efficiency. So in contrast, folic acid is a synthetic form of folate commonly found in fortified foods, fortified or enriched foods, or supplements. Look at your supplements. I forgot to add that one in. Supplements for folic acid. They throw it in everything. Well, I mentioned the prenatal vitamins. That's what they put in there, is folic acid. It's a synthetic form, right? Folic acid must be converted into its active form before it can be used, and this conversion relies heavily on the MTHFR enzyme. So it will tax your system completely, first of all, but its byproducts are really bad too. In individuals with MTHFR variants, this conversion can be inefficient, and as a result, unmetabolized folic acid, because it's in everything, unmetabolized folic acid can accumulate in the bloodstream. This may interfere with normal folate metabolism and has been associated with altered immune function and potential masking of certain deficiencies. For this reason, focusing on natural folate sources and avoiding excessive intake of synthetic folic acid is often recommended, especially in individuals with impaired methylation, right? So just stay away from the synthetic stuff, always. Just stay away from the synthetic stuff. It will never benefit you, it will only harm you. But supporting methylation through diet involves consistently providing the body with nutrients in forms it can readily use, right? Whole foods contain natural folate along with other cofactors such as B vitamins and minerals that help maintain efficiency in methylating, right, and reduce those homocysteine levels and support overall immune balance. So, yes, moringa is really awesome. So your friend is, send me all the information on being pregnant. My friend is pregnant. I will do that. Build of folic acid, scar tissue build up in the body. You can tell me later. So a buildup of folic acid causes a lot of different issues. So it will mask different deficiencies in the body if you're looking for them. It will cause toxic overload. It will cause your body not to be able to detox. It will cause which is really damaging to a fetus or a growing baby in the body. There's all sorts of issues that happen. Your detoxification pathways will get clogged up. It's probably one of the worst things that we've ever enriched our food with. You know, other than like arsenic and stuff like that we've accidentally put in there. But this is like on purpose, so it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it can cause a lot of different things. So inflammation, definitely. If you are constantly inflamed, you know, there's other issues that can be a part of that, but yeah, you won't be able to heal if you're constantly inflamed, right? So yeah, I would say it can contribute to that for sure. So I wouldn't say scar tissue buildup more so, but my friend was told not to take moringa while pregnant or ashwagandha. Yeah, they'll tell you that for sure. I don't know why. It's crazy to me. Ashwagandha, I'll have to look at ashwagandha for pregnancy, so don't take me on that. But moringa is one of the greatest things to take. And if you're scared of taking moringa, take nettle root, right? It's just as good, right? Take a powdered form of nettle root. It's got all the minerals you need. But you know, really good greens like that, spirulina or chlorella. Blue spirulina is one that's really cool as well. But taking like something like that for pregnancy, just to make sure you're getting all of those minerals, could be super beneficial. But I would not take the prenatal vitamins. Would stay away from those. Everyone that I've seen is has folic acid in it. I think nowadays they're catching on to that. Over the last like 5 years, a lot of companies have caught on to that, and yeah, I can send you that. And they've you know, just like the BPA in plastic bottles, right? Bisphenol A. They now know that is an estrogen mimicker. It is one of the major causes of breast cancer, that sort of stuff. You know, plastic in your water, it's horrible for you, obviously. Whenever you heat something up in the microwave in a plastic container, you know, those sort of things, that's how you get those plastics in your body. Anything that's stored long term in heat, right, especially, or sunlight, like with the water, will start to break down that plastic chemically in the water. Water is a universal solvent. It will dissolve anything it touches, pretty much, even on the micro level, even if you don't notice it. So what your water is packaged in is pretty critical, especially for long periods of time. If it's short term, it's not that big of a deal, but long periods of time for sure, especially exposed to sunlight or anything like that, you'll get those microplastics. But anyways, bisphenol A, they caught on to that, and now they're like, oh, BPA free bottles, right? BPA free. okay, so what did you replace the BPA with? Like, now you're using something else to make the plastic malleable. So they're just going to go from one chemical to the next to the next. Like when Valium killed over 1 million people in 3 months, right? Nobody heard about it, right? There was a news story on it, but nobody heard about it. They put it under the water. You know, it's like 1.1 million people killed in 3 months by a drug that people were prescribing, that doctors were prescribing, and they just buried it, right? And then they said, they flipped the chemical, renamed it, and put it out there as oxycodone. What? Like, and now they're just a little bit more cautious as to how they, actually I don't even know if that's true, if they're more cautious as to how they prescribe it, but still killed more people than people in America die from heart disease. That's just wild. In 3 months, and from heart disease in a year, it killed more people in 3 months. So it's the wild, wild west out there for prescriptions and pharmaceuticals. So that's why we have to be informed, make our own decisions, make better decisions, and take our health into our own hands for the most part, right? So, but it's the same thing with that. Folic acid, they're catching on, and so I think a lot of companies are using natural folate supplements or methylfolate, right? So they might actually be using methylfolate in some formulas. I'm sure there are people that know about this and that are creating formulas with that in it, right? So just things you got to look out for sure, especially when pregnant. But if you have any health issues, I mean, just stay away from the synthetic stuff. That's all I got to say. Like, and I hate to say this, but like, don't go out to eat, right? Because you don't know what they're putting in the food. And if you do go out to eat, have a method of detoxification afterwards. I know it's difficult because there is a social aspect to eating. And if you haven't already, read my book. I go over all the different stages of eating, like from the standard American diet all the way to foraging your own food from the wild, and where you learn certain aspects of what food consumption provides, right? It provides community and fellowship, which is one of the most difficult parts to break away from when you're eating, trying to do better for yourself, right? Everybody wants to go out to eat nowadays. Everybody wants to meet up at a place and do a thing, right? Most of our social interaction is involved around something we consume, whether it's educational, like today, or whether it's fellowship at church, a lot of it, or whether it's consuming food, right? It's usually wrapped around something that we are consuming or looking to consume. And so it's a really difficult world to break away from, you know. Especially, you know, just with people that you love to be around and want to be around all the time, but there's just so much influence and so much temptation, right? It's really difficult. So you have to be strong-willed to do the right things, but be prepared. Preparedness is super critical, right? Super critical. If you are always prepared for situations, you don't ever have to worry about it. It's super easy. Man, any more questions? Did I get everything? Oh, so you said for a 1-year-old, right? I thought you said Nathaniel 1, methylated vitamins. So,
yeah.
Yes, but it's going to be difficult to take. I don't know if there is, and I don't know if there's a liquid form of it. There might be, but yeah, totally. I mean, he's getting, like, if he's eating meat, right? He's getting methylated vitamins, right? So from, you know, like B12. Now the folate aspect of it, probably not, but ask if Any suggested creams, rubs for eczema, sensitive skin? Yeah. Eczema, yeah. There are. So, yes. There's a lot of things really great for sensitive skin, for eczema, skin conditions. But I would also address something like eczema as an autoimmune condition, right? So like I would address it as a, and it's usually a candida fungal issue. So I addressed it internally as well as topically, right? So, you know, everybody thinks that your skin is like separate from your body or something. I don't understand it, but it is the largest organ of your body, right? So, and it's the last place usually that something negative is expressed, right? So usually there's a root cause to something being expressed on the skin like that. Now, yes, there are exposures that happen that will express on the skin first, right? And that exposure will go into the body, right? So your skin is not a barrier. It somewhat is, but somewhat isn't. It's more of like an interactive, it's more like, it's not an open border, right? But it has, you know, checks and balances and things get through, you know? So, can she detox while being pregnant? I wouldn't recommend it, no. There are ways to do that, right? But I wouldn't like hardcore detox when you're pregnant, right? Because some of those toxins and stuff that you're trying to eliminate can definitely cause some issues, right? First line of defense, but your skin absorbs everything. Yeah, exactly. That is exactly right. Oh, it's, you know, it is one of your first lines of defense. And then what you put into your body, which, you know, you're like kind of like a donut, right? So you have, I would consider your intestinal lining all the way through from your mouth to the end. Very similar to your skin as well, as it, you know, it's got different mechanisms and different ways it works, but it's very similar to your skin as well, where it's not actually really in your body until it gets digested and through into your blood and everything else, right? So yeah, your skin's very similar. It's a little bit more of a protective barrier than your digestive tract, because your body trusts you to put the right things in your body, right? Whereas things can be exposed to your skin that you didn't plan on, right? So, but yes, there's a lot of things for eczema, for all that stuff. There's a lot of things I can note off the top of my head, but there are really good formulas that have been put together for those sort of things. I really love like calendula creams for itching, burning, those sort of things. Really good for burning as well. And then if you want, you know, there's stuff that you can put in it for like for symptom relief, and then there's things you can put in it for like anti-inflammatory effects, and then like neem is one of the best skin the best like things to put on your skin, right? It's super beneficial for your skin. It fights all the infectious stuff, bacterial, fungal, all that stuff. Really super awesome. I love neem. I got rid of a fungal infection with neem on my feet that I brought back from Iraq. So where they told me that I was going to have to, they told me they were going to have to cut chunks out of my foot. Like I literally have chunks out of my foot right now to get rid of this, because it was so deeply ingrained in my feet. And that was the only way they knew how to remove it safely, I guess, which doesn't sound safe to me. But I soaked my feet in neem. Now I was also fasting when I did this, but I soaked my feet in neem every day for like a couple of weeks, and it was gone like that. Never had an issue again. So there's definitely a lot of things you can do out there. And you want to kind of cater it to yourself, right? You know, there's different conditions, different areas that you may be dealing with that other people aren't dealing with, that you can kind of tweak and cater things, especially your diet, to help with that. But unread message, where's the, what lab process is it? Okay, I read that one. So y'all asking a lot of questions today. That's good stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in your, or in that can be in a cream or topical solution that would be really beneficial for eczema. You have anti-inflammatories. You have things that help repair tissue, repair skin, soften the tissue, and then you have the direct effect of antibacterials, antifungals, antiparasitic. We went over black walnut hull as a really good skin solution as well for anti-parasite skin solutions, but also antifungal. So that would probably be one that would be really awesome to have in a cream to use on an eczema like issue. So what I've noticed is more often than not, the stuff that shows up on the skin like that, recurring issues, chronic issues, is very closely linked to candida or some sort of fungal issue. So when you get on a no sugar diet, not like a sometimes sugar diet, no, a no sugar diet, right? Absolutely none whatsoever in fruits or anything, right? Carbohydrates of any sort, sugars of any sort, and you get on therapeutic herbs that fight candida, you will see a huge improvement in those sort of skin conditions like eczema. But there are topical ways to address it as well. And I like to do a strategy with everything, and I attack it from both ways. So definitely no problem with doing that. But if you are pregnant, it is a whole other issue, right? So you just want to make sure that you're not doing too intense of stuff. So when you're pregnant and say you're detoxing heavy metals, that would be horrible to accidentally find its way into the umbilical cord, right? It's probably already happening if you're eating a normal diet, unfortunately. So you want to eat clean when you are pregnant, especially, right? I think there's over 200 toxins that are normally found in the umbilical cord, heavy metals, also all sorts of things. A lot of issues with that, and we really need to address that as a nation. But that's a whole other issue, just about eating correctly and not wearing toxic clothing, not being in toxic environments. It's really difficult to get out of. But gentle detoxification. What I would say is do something that is a cation exchange. And what I mean by that is something like a zeolite when you're pregnant is very gentle, and the huge benefit of it is that it encapsulates the toxin. So if you want to get heavy metals out of the body, if you want to do those sort of things, if you want to protect your baby, you would do something like a zeolite, right? So the zeolite does a cation exchange. It exchanges a mineral for a toxin based off the charge that it provides, right? So the electrical charge, the electrons exchanging. And it has a honeycomb-like structure, and it kind of encapsulates the toxin, right? The heavy metal. Zeolite is the thing that they throw onto radioactive fields after they've done nuclear explosions and stuff. They'll throw zeolite all over it, right? Because it absorbs the radiation, does a cation exchange, exchange a mineral for a radioactive one, right? Or any other kind of toxin like heavy metals and stuff. That would be a really good, gentle approach to detoxifying while you're pregnant, right? And just to protect the baby from anything that you might accidentally consume or be exposed to, right? That's a really good approach. You know, I would have to look at like chlorophyll. I'm not exactly sure on chlorophyll and its chelation methods as to how it pulls the heavy metal out. I know it's by chelation. I don't remember exactly if it leaves anything exposed to harm anything. I'd have to look into that. But that's a really good approach for normal detoxification of heavy metals. So, you know, things like that. Activated charcoal is really great, but it's not really it's less of like a bloodstream thing and more of a digestive tract thing. So yeah, there's definitely ways to do it, but yeah, if you want to protect your baby from anything that might be harmful in your body, zeolite would be a really good approach to that. So. Any more questions? Are we wrapping this thing up?
Just an observation. You said something about drugs killing over 1 million people in 3 months. The CDC's website, as far as last time I looked, just to verify, states that pharmaceutical drugs in general kill 106,000 people a year.
That's it?
So, yeah. Well, that's properly taken.
Not malpractice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, spirulina and chlorella, I understand, does actually detox, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's through the chlorophyll and the antioxidant properties of it. But I'm just not. I know it's chelation, but I can't remember exactly that method. Oh, like what happens after that? I'm drawing a blank there. I'll have to go through and look at that. But yeah, it's pretty. That's a really low number. They're probably trying to make themselves look good. They're probably leaving something out in that sentence that would make it 100 times worse, probably. So.
It's way worse.
Well,
in reality.
Well, in all honesty, though, you know, a lot of it is misdiagnosis as well. So they're not going to include that. You know, like. They're not going to include all the misdiagnoses of breast cancer, right? And the people that they kill through that, through misdiagnosis and chemo treatment for something they never had, right? There's all sorts of things that that happen in the medical field that we just are not aware of, and that they don't contribute to their fault, right? So. And that is a huge issue. A huge issue.
I understand that if you opt to go through the standard treatments, the allopathic treatments, your chances of survival drop 50%.
Yeah, it's pretty radical. I always tell people if you have, and I tell people this, and this is probably going to get me canceled too. But if you have, you know, the C word. There we go. If I say it like that, I won't get canceled. If you have something like the C word, if you have something like autoimmune disease, don't go to a doctor. Normally you will live longer, better, happier, healthier, especially with the C word. A better quality of life without ever approaching a doctor about it. That is just the way it is. Your body will actually try to naturally heal itself on its own, which is much better method than your doctor synthetically poisoning or cutting you or burning you with radiation. So, and radiation and chemo have like a really, really low success rate, like super low success rate. And there are success rates that's skewed anyways, and I could get to that I think I've mentioned that, but super low success rate. So why would you even try it? That's crazy to me.
What they're having what is actually they're having a good success rate with is auto immune therapy. So they're taking out and putting back in your blood through a system and flushing out toxins and putting it back in, and it's actually fighting the cancer, and they're having good reviews with that.
Now that's not the vaccine, is it?
No, there's
Okay.
no vaccine.
So
they
there-
literally just cleanse your blood and put it back in.
Yeah.
It's called autoimmune therapy, and it's actually what's helped with your Aunt Kathy with her cancer in her lungs, and it has taken and healed her, and it's actually helping.
Yeah. Yeah, so like something as simple as that, if that's all that's happening, is great. But it is very invasive, right? So, I mean, you could just provide your body with natural stuff. It would do the same thing. It would clean your blood, bladder rack. There's a bunch of different Chinese herbs out there that I cannot formulate in my head right now, but that clean the blood, I don't remember the exact. I can see it in my head, but I can't remember the name. But yeah, there's a bunch of different blood cleaners out there. There's a bunch of different herbs, bunch of different things you can take to just clean your system out. And when you normally when you get rid of the toxins and you don't retoxify your body, right? You heal naturally. God created your body with a system of healing and resilience. So it's, I like to rely. What is the degree? What is degree did you get? I am telling my friend. Which one would you like to know about? No, I've got my main degrees in alternative medicine and science, and I also I'm a permaculture designer, certified permaculture designer. I have multiple certificates and stuff from different places, but I don't know where they're at. That was 16 years ago, but I've got, I'd studied in India with a school in India. I studied with a school in Arizona. Yeah, it's alternative medicine and science. But that's not really where I learned the bulk of stuff. Where I learned the bulk of my stuff is by actually buying the Sanskrit and direct Sanskrit translations of the Karaka Samhitas, which is the Ayurvedic medicinal system, the medicinal system of India, and then traditional Chinese medicine, Taoist tonic herbalism. Those are my main studies, right, in herbalism, and which are whole body systems, which was why they're important. Mostly Ayurveda is a whole body system. Traditional Chinese medicine is also a whole body system, not just herbs, right? It's a whole medical system. It's a whole medical system adjunct to our modern medical system. They do all the same things, right? They do surgical procedures and all that minutely, right? They're all the same. They do all the same things that our modern medicine does. They just do it way better and way more successful. That's why I can talk with such confidence and in natural things, is because there are other systems out there utilizing them, getting fantastic results. Ayurveda, when practiced in their natural forms, has a 95% success rate in cancer, all cancers across the board, right? So that is the complete opposite of what we have here today in the United States. We may have a 5% success rate with chemo or radiation, right? And if that's the case, why would we even do it? Like, It's crazy to me. Like if I don't know. It's crazy to me. If you apply that measure to anything else in life, you wouldn't do it, right? Like if I'm gonna survive only 5% of the time of jumping off this rock into this water, I've got a 95% chance of dying. Why would I do it? You know, that's just nuts. It's nuts to me.
There's a whole host of reasons.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it boils down to, I think, lack of knowledge, and that's what, it's a good thing that what you're doing is trying to educate people that there is a different way. And I think when they say something about success rates, they'll mention 1 in 5, like for instance in one commercial, won't survive. They said what they mean is, or what they mean is the other 4 have the initial success rate, but they don't count recurring.
Yeah, they don't count that. The statistics have been skewed, right? They're skewed very specifically for the timeline that they know that somebody will survive past, which is normally around 3 to 5 years, right. 3 or 4 years really, and then they accrue. It comes back, and it comes back worse. It comes back in different areas. It metastasizes through the lymphatic system, right? So that's the core issue. Is they're the way that they derive their stats is skewed, right? Their statistics.
Yeah, come back with a vengeance as SOP.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
Yeah, you gotta create recurring customers.
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time that the medical industry is 5 times that of the oil industry. Look what the oil industry is doing to our entire world right now. Just over a little battle of Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and that stuff. Strait of Hormuz is extremely insignificant to the entire oil industry. It's like there's hardly anything going on there, right? But look at what happens when that little bit is affected. What do you think happens when the bottom dollar of the medical industry is affected by people healing naturally? That is a way larger influence in the world than oil. So what do you think happens? What do you think they're doing to fight the natural healing world? It's incredible what you will see, and I say incredible, not like good. It is extremely evil, that whole industry, and it really sucks because there's a lot of good people that are also wrapped up into it. You know, I firmly believe, and I hate to say this because I know that some people are heavily involved in the medical industry. Our entire economies and areas are derived from medical communities, right? Every major community around the world, especially the Western world, is economically supported by hospitals, basically, by the medical industry, which sucks because we're all beholden to it in some way, shape, or form. But it is like the pharmaceutical companies and everything, I believe, is the fingertips of Satan. I believe it is heavily evil. And I think that there was once good aspects of it, but I think that the evil one has used it to completely attack God's people and all people, honestly. And so it is it's more than a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle made physical in our bodies, and so it's pretty bad. And the more that you dive into it, there's no other way that you can see it, especially if you're a God-knowing kingdom believer. There's no other way to see it. And I know, what's that?
Completely. I said I completely concur with you.
Yeah. And it really sucks because there's you know, people that just don't know just willfully following the industry and willfully following the medical community, and don't end up in a great position because of it. So it really sucks. But what's that?
Yep. Yeah, it does completely. There's a whole history of the pharmaceutical companies as chemical companies that is fascinating to learn about. So.
Yeah, there's a guy out there. You know, I don't remember his name, but he's a doctor, and he's a doctor of naturopathic medicine, and his company is called Divine Health, or Natural Divine Health, or something like that, Divine Design or something like that. But he has a very similar concept of utilizing what God provided naturally to heal yourself, right? Through the power of, you know, prayer, herbs, meditation, food, all those things, right? And so very similar concepts. So I go back and forth with him every once in a while, because we think very much alike, very much alike. He's a little bit more forward about his opinion on it. I used to be that way, but I noticed it didn't get me very many places because people would just shut down. And so I have to be a little more approachable, because people resist the idea of their doctor working for a system that could be led by Satan, basically. It's a very difficult concept for people normally to understand until you get into it and you start really seeing what goes on behind the scenes. And a lot of doctors don't know, you know, a lot of nurses don't know, a lot of people in that industry are just working because they think it's what's best, and they think that we don't have the ability to heal naturally, and they think that we, you know, medicine is a gift, or modern medicine is a gift from God. And I say no, it is a completely opposite than a gift from God. It's probably one of the worst things that we've ever put our hand in. And so it's yeah, I could go further, but there's, you know, I'm probably going to get canceled for that. But like I said, I've already had a bunch of videos canceled and a warning. So, but
Scared.
huh?
That's a little hogwash. That's sensory.
Well, that's
free speech.
that's why I started everything on school, right? Because school's a platform where they won't do that. So that's why I started doing everything here, because I could actually teach real stuff and have community that learns real things, rather than just, you know, running to the doctor every chance to get. So,
Right.
or
Where
you
are
know,
your videos stored at?
what's that?
Where are your videos stored?
Where are they stored?
Yeah, where are you storing them?
On my computer. Well, I download them, and I have a separate drive that I transfer them over to, and then I also have them, you know, in the school platform. They actually are stored, and then on YouTube, and then on the other platforms that I kick out all the short videos to, like TikTok and stuff. But TikTok's the main one that's been canceling me lately. So
Yeah, that's expected. Okay. Yeah, no free speech with them.
no, nothing that is. But it's weird though, because I'll see people talk about the same things and they don't get canceled, you know. But I think it's because my platform right now is outperforming a lot of people that have similar stuff, and so so they're kind of watching me. But I expected that.
The more audience you get, the more that'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened pretty hardcore in California when I was doing stuff like this, because I had a few direct patients that I was working with that, two of them right off the bat that I can think of. One of them had one of the most rare blood cancers, and we were able to work with him, and he was healed in 3 months. And then another one he wasn't healed in a matter of months. He had prostate cancer, and he wasn't healed within a matter of months or weeks, but he completely turned around. He could barely walk, he could barely move, and that was actually where I developed the brain formula, was with this guy. And his neurological system was shutting down and stuff too, but within just a few times of sitting with him over a couple of weeks, his wife, they were trying to do a reverse mortgage and retire and everything else and just get out of their house and downsize and everything, because he just couldn't keep up and maintain anything. But they had a bunch of work that they had to do on the house, and over 2 weeks period of time of working with him, and it was just about 3 days of meeting over 2 weeks, and he started taking the stuff, doing the stuff, and his wife was like, he's almost finished this remodel over the last 2 weeks. He's been up moving around doing stuff, and he won't sit down, and then at the end of the day he sits down, and they relax for a little bit, and then he goes to sleep. Like this is not happened in years, and so that was really cool. And that's actually where I got the idea for the brain formula being a all-encompassing body formula and brain formula, because some of the things that I put in there were for getting motivation and stuff like that. So but it was really, really cool. Really cool to see what really happens when you dig deep and start doing things the right way, the way God intended. So pretty cool stuff. All right, I'll send all that stuff over to you, Miss Sarah, and yeah, all that good stuff. I'll probably end up putting that methylated vitamins, the ones that we take from MD Logic, putting them on the site. See if I can get it cheaper than what you would buy it anywhere else, because I do have a wholesale account with them. So, but the site is up, greathealthbygod.com. You can go there. Still working on it. I've only got 4 products up right now, but much more to come. So just trying to make it easier for everybody. So sweet. All right, y'all.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get off here. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye. See you later. See you in a little bit.
Alrighty.